What's going on, everybody? This is not Matt Faircloth. He is not here today, everybody. Matt is enjoying a family time. I'm Justin, as you know, here to host with my co-host for the week, Mr. Herve Francois. Herve,
what's up, everybody? Justin, thanks so much.
How'd you like my Matt impersonation?
It's good. Well, I figured since I'm kind of subbing in for Matt today, I'll kind of do my best Matt Faircloth impression. I'll do my best. I don't know if I...
Hey,
everybody, pumped up, ready to go. Freaky Friday, Fun Friday. Let's get to it. Corona crazy going on right now. Justin, glad to have you here.
I couldn't even tell the difference. Spot on, my friend. Spot on. Herve, man, I am happy to have you. For those of you guys don't know Herve, boom. Herve is here. That's Herve looking dapper in a previous time. Look at you down there.
Oh, man, I did my best. My mama dressed me that day, so, I was looking all right.
Herve, listen, normally Matt and I, we might shoot the shit for a little bit, and then we'll bring on our guests.
Okay.
Our guests today they got a clock on them. They got 30 minutes.
Yes,
so
they are.
Take advantage of these guys. We're going to bring them on. Listen, this happy hour, guys, brought to you by DeRosa Insiders. The two brokers that we're going to bring on today, they are our friends. They work in Lexington, Kentucky, where obviously we have a lot of deals and looking for more. And so hopefully we'll get them liquored up and they can send us all the best deals. That's really the goal for this, right, everybody? That's what we want.
That's the idea. That's how you get to the front of the line, people, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely. But listen, if you are a DeRosa Insider, if you want to be a DeRosa Insider, these guys came on 2 weeks ago and did a whole presentation on a deal that they have for sale. And actually, hopefully, one of our DeRosa Insiders is going to be buying it. So there's all kinds of great benefits for being a DeRosa Insider. It's a private Facebook group that just gives an inside look at how we run apartment complexes, all the cool stuff that we're doing. Next week, we're going to have, Herve in North Carolina, we're building a new leasing office. And so we're going to put up the plans to that. And we're actually going to be getting some feedback from the insiders. And we have the architectural drawings. And we're going to just talk everyone through like what we're thinking, how it's going, how we're building it, what it's going to cost, all that good stuff. It's just like all insider content. So it's really great stuff.
Hey man, you always have great content for the team out there and for the DeRosa Insiders. There's so much to learn. There's so much to benefit from. Guys, please ask a lot of questions to our guest today. Justin, I'll turn it over to you for the intro.
You guys are here. If you're watching, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, please say hello. We want to hear from you. Just say hello. Let us know what you're drinking today. We got a nice beer from Goose Island Beer Company. So I'm trying that. What are you drinking, Herve?
I got a little Blue Moon here, and I went flavorful because it's beginning to warm up. So it's mango wheat.
I love it. Good stuff, man.
Very tasty.
Puts you in the mood for summer, right? All right. That's enough, Herve. I'm bringing on our guests.
Let's do it.
Ken and Brandon, what's up, guys?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Hey.
Thanks for taking time.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We are really happy to have you here on our happy hour. Ken, I know you're in the car. No drink for you today. We're going to have to drink on your behalf.
And I'm it's such a disadvantage with all these good-looking guys, and here's this old bald guy.
Well, I would say
I'm not too far behind.
Going here, we got the Club. And Brandon, since the last time I saw you, looks like you got rid of your quarantine beard, or most of it at least.
I did trim it up.
I kind of like it, man. You kind of almost had like a Rick Ross. I kind of like it.
Trying to eat back in the thing. So
it is heating up. So it's time to cool it down a little bit.
Yeah. You don't want it too scratchy, right? Well, hey guys, I know that you guys don't have that much time, so let's start off just with an introduction. Ken, if you want to start us off, just let the audience know who you are, what you do, where you do it, and all that good stuff.
Sure. Okay. So Silvestri Real Estate started real estate here in Lexington, Kentucky, 1990, and we've been really doing apartment brokerage now for really since about 2000, pretty steadily. But things changed when I brought on Brandon to our team. We went from sort of just being a B player to the A team now. No, really, we've sold over 50 transactions here in Lexington, Kentucky, just probably in the last, 40 months. And out of those 50 transactions, it's actually over 50, probably, I would say 35 are off-market deals. And that just comes from us just, going at it every day, looking and looking and looking, turning over rocks, following up. And that's what we do. We're sort of crazed prospectors.
Great prospectors. I love it. So everyone wants the off-market deal for sure. So that's pretty cool that you guys are doing that. And so you mentioned Brandon. So Brandon, tell us about yourself, man.
Sure. So I joined Ken's team almost exactly 5 years ago, and I spent the 5 years before that on site in the property management world. Graduated from UK with a degree in finance. So combine that with my operational side, and it was a perfect fit to join Ken. And so I'm more of the analytical, operational side of it, which so for all you numbers nerds, that's my favorite part. And getting the deals closed. Yeah, Herve, we've talked a lot. So
yes, we have.
Yeah, that's where
So
I fit in.
that makes for a good partnership then.
It does.
That's right.
It really does. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so how is bringing Brandon on allowed? Sorry about that. I'm the one that should be turning off my sound. I should know these things, and I got the sound on my phone. So how has what specifically has bringing on Brandon allowed you to do to scale the business?
Yeah. So prior to Brandon, I've always been good at the prospecting side of the business. I call everybody in town. Either once a month or every 6 months, depending on how soon I think that, that seller might actually say, okay, we're ready. But then when they would send over the financials, I would be able to look at them and say, okay, I think I sort of know what's going on here. And it looks like, we've got a net income of some number. But if it was something that was, somewhat difficult, Brandon, from his management side, he knew every single expense that should be there. He understood, what's going on with the profit and losses. He understands the cash on cash, the internal rate of returns. I mean, he's just like a genius in that area. He's a, UK grad in finance, and it's been 5 years doing this stuff. So I was really that front guy that, I can run up and down the city and knock on doors until I just fall over. And I love doing that, but once the deals started getting really big with, like 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, 30 million, and we're really dealing with, other financial professionals, then, it was just a little bit out of my league. And, but Brandon, he keeps up with the best of them, and he makes me really look good. So our business has really blossomed, and I'm, it's just so great when we get these really big deals and we take them away from the big national guys. And it's all because Brandon speaks the numbers language. So it's, it's a great peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
So is that so there might be a seller that's willing to sell, and they're trying to decide, do I sell my 30 unit? Do I call, a big player, or do I call Silvestri Group? Like how do you guys differentiate yourselves?
Brandon?
So I think a few different things. I think our knowledge of the markets, like Kim was saying, he's been in the business here in Lexington for a while, and a lot of people know the Silvestri name. And I think we combine that with truly understanding the properties, right? We've operated, we've owned, we've sold. And so as soon as we start underwriting a deal, we usually will give some tips on, your other income's a little bit low, or this is a little lower. Wait, your economic occupancy is this level, and for this portion of town you need to do this, and we really get into the micro details of it, to where I think most of our competitors, who are usually in major markets, the Cincy's, the Nashville, and then they'll travel to Lexington, Louisville to try to sell here, you just can't really know the market as well as we do. So as soon as we can kind of get in with the seller and let them know we really do know our stuff and we can really help you, they usually catch on pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And you guys own yourselves, right? So you're brokers for others, and you guys own as a team, right?
We do own a few units ourselves, right. And that's really been a great experience, just because, until you really jump in the water and start really swimming, you really don't know what gravity is going to do.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of lessons that you learn that you can't learn any other way other than just like, oh boy, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
So I think it makes us better brokers, and we really do understand, the pitfalls, and at the same time, we're excited when we can say, oh yeah, we understand that, and we're talking to professionals like you guys, and we're on the same playing field.
Yeah. I mean, Herve, from our side, from the buying side, those of you guys watching, Herve and I are on the same team with Matt and a few others. And so someone, a group like Silvestri might bring us a deal. How does it help us knowing that these guys are actual owners?
Yep. I think Justin kind of faded out there, but I know where he was going with that question. Kind of, how does it help knowing that you guys are actual owners at the same?
Are those more accurate?
Yeah. You faded out a little bit, but I think I was finishing your sentence.
You got it. I heard you. Keep going. You're right on track.
Yeah, no, I think where it's helpful is, listen, like anything else in business, relationship is everything, right? And I think we have developed a really, really good relationship with you guys that has been going on for several years right now. And where I think we lean on you guys a lot is, as you know, everyone listening in, Justin and I and Matt, we're not based in Kentucky where we own some of the assets, right? We are based up here in New Jersey. So we lean on Ken, we lean on Brandon for being really feet on the street to keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the neighborhood, what's going on, what kind of shifts might be taking place that perhaps we may not be able to read in the newspaper or find out on a different website online. And so the relationship, I think, that we've solidified over the past couple of years, I think has helped us get that kind of information from you guys. And that helps speeds us up in making the decision that we need to make on a go or no go decision. Because sometimes it's not just about Lexington, but it might be a specific neighborhood in Lexington, or then of course Louisville as well, right? So that's where I think you guys have been an absolutely huge asset for us. And then because you guys are also owners, besides being brokers, you can look at a property from an owner's perspective as well, right? Because you are thinking about returns, you're thinking about NOI, you're thinking about your exit strategy, and so on and so forth. And these are all obviously very important variables that we're thinking about when we're taking a look at a property that eventually will come to underwriting. And then from there, we have to get a go or no go decision. Familiarity with the brokers, lenders, property managers, contractors. I mean, all those things, you guys provided a huge amount of assistance and support for us. And it makes us feel that much more comfortable in looking at other properties and other assets in the Lexington area. So in other areas, I mean, so as the hunter for this group, and trying to identify which markets that we're also looking to pursue to add to our portfolio, other multifamily assets to our portfolio. One of the things that I'm fully engaged in is, where can I find the next Silvestri team? I mean, and there's not a lot out there. It's hard. There's only one Ken Silvestri out there.
There's only one.
That's right. Yeah.
There's only one. I don't know I don't know if you got a doppelganger out there, man. But there's only one Ken Silvestri out there.
We got it. We're all shaving our heads to try to be like Ken.
Right.
And Brandon as well. Exactly.
Well, let me add to something to give you a real specific example. The 200 units that you guys bought from us was the result of us marketing, actually me being on the phone for probably 5, 6, 7 years with that seller.
Wow.
And okay. So when we get a seller that says, I might be open to selling, I mean, that door is just cracked just an inch, right? Mm-hmm. And I just happened to be on the phone with you guys within a couple of days of that. Maybe it was even within 24 hours. And you guys were all over it. And next thing you know, the Ure's machine went on. And next thing you know, we said, oh boy, we got a real deal going here. Yeah. And you all had this thing under agreement. You all were on site, and bam, everything was like, wow, this is how you buy a property, the way you all did it. And then another thing is, even when it got tough and there were all sorts of little issues that would probably scare away the average buyer. You got stuck in there. So how do you win the hearts and pocketbooks of a broker? You act fast and you close the deal. And then, and then for us, it's TOMA. It's like top of the mind awareness. Like every time that then we see another deal that's going to come on the market, who are we going to call? Who's going to act fast? Who's going to close the deal even if things get tough? And that's how you do it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. That's such good insight. So I want to break that down real quick, because the first part of that was you guys as the brokers, right? You're trying to get as many listings as you can. And so you're reaching out to sellers. You know the owners, right? You're in the town. You know the players there. And you worked on that guy for 7 years for that property that we bought. It's amazing.
And Brandon, isn't that true? Isn't most of our deals we've been working on for years. And when we get that opportunity, sometimes we only have one silver bullet. The number of transactions that we've used the wrong silver bullet and we bring the wrong buyer to the table and they trip and fall on us and the deal's done. Oh my gosh, that's so painful. So we've got to be really careful when we find one situation where the seller said, okay, bring your best buyer. Sometimes we only have one shot.
Right. So, that's such good insight. So you're, because the seller is trusting you and can presumably move on to another broker if they decide that you're wasting their time. Right.
Yeah. And sometimes we have to convince the seller to stop the music. Don't list the property with some big guy. We're going to get this deal closed for you. And there's like, okay, I'll give you one shot at it. We just lost a deal the other day, last week. We had one shot, brought in the wrong buyer, and it's done.
Oh man,
it's history.
It wasn't us. It wasn't us.
Right here. No mas.
What were we thinking?
Right.
What were you thinking, Ken? Come on.
Yeah.
No, that's tough, and it's probably not something that most like investors that are looking to get started or grow into multifamily really think about. But they have to sell, like, if I'm a buyer, right, and I want to come and buy the next 30 unit from you guys, like, how do I give you that kind of trust so that you will bring me to the seller and you'll take my offer seriously? Like, what can I do to show you that I'm serious?
Brandon?
So I'd say a couple different things. I think starting with you guys, I think the biggest thing that helped our relationship was we knew the other deal that you purchased. And that already gave us some comfort because we knew that seller extremely well. We knew the property extremely well, and we knew that you all had to push through to close that one. So you all got a leg up there just because
we were already in town, right? So that helps. Yeah.
Trust.
That's right. Yeah, Ken's right on that. So if it was someone new, I think coming in and building the relationship is probably the best. I know people say that all the time, but and Ken, to tell you, we get tons of emails per week from buyers. And, when a buyer says, "Hi, my name's Brandon. How many off-market deals do you have?" I'm like, okay, well.
Does that not work? Does that not get me on a secret list? What? I don't understand.
They get put in a buyer's folder. But if you can share your criteria and we really get to know each other, and we have people that have sent us their pro formas and just kind of work together as a team, then eventually that relationship builds and the trust is there. And, a couple years later, here we are.
Yeah. I mean, and that's really how we do it from the other side as well, right, Herve? I mean, the thing that I think sets us apart from a lot of other people is we go and we invest the time, even if it's not a deal that we think we're going to like, right? Or it might be close, but we'll even say it might be close, but it's worth going to build a relationship with that broker because we see the other kinds of deals that they're bringing to the market, and we want to go meet with them and buy them a drink and buy them dinner and hang out for a little bit.
You got to get out, right? I mean, you got to get out. You got to get on a plane. You got to go down there and you got to meet and really, really just hone that relationship. And it's so darn important. And I think it's served us very well. I hope that it served you guys really well. The one thing I'm sure on your side, what you've seen in regards to developing relationships with different buyers is some buyers are going to like one type of property. Other buyers are going to like a different type of property. and you guys are going to see all kind of different properties, right? The type A's, type B's, type C's, and so on and so forth. And you'll know your buyers that really are interested in the type C property, others that are type A, but not interested, and so on and so forth. So I think hopefully it's helped you out. For example, the relationship that we built with you guys over the past couple of years, I think we've been pretty disciplined and strict in the type of deals that we look for and the type of deals that we pursue. I mean, I think you guys would attest to that. We don't jump all over the place, and we don't look at deals all over the country. We have certain sizes, we have certain types. You guys know that we're value add and so on and so forth. And so when something like that comes across your plate, then hopefully, we're at TOMA, as operators that you can reach out to give a call and say, hey, listen, this DeRosa team, they may be able to close pretty quickly on this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll sort of add again, going back to the example of the one transaction, the 200-unit property that you all closed with us.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember is that, this is where backing up what Brandon was saying, this particular property was only a couple blocks down from really a slightly different submarket. And we knew that the opportunity there was going to be different. And because we knew what the rents were and what the rents could be, and we really, really understood that you all were a value add buyer, and we were able to say, okay, we think that your rents should go to this number, and Brandon's able to put together enough of a pro forma to help you all sort of see the picture. But it didn't really take very long, I think, for us to realize we had a square peg for a square hole. You all were looking for a value add, and this particular owner was good, but he was not the kind of guy that wanted to put $5,000 a unit into a property and take those rents to the next level. And we knew that's what you all would be excited about. So every single property, we have to say, who is that one buyer we think is going to close on this that's matching up. So, honestly, you guys are not going to buy 16 units from us probably, but your group, someone in your group may.
Absolutely.
And that's what's sort of exciting now to us, is that you all have expanded our, ability to show you a lot more.
We have more buyers.
So we're excited about
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, that's great. And that's something I'm really excited about too, because that's a way that, DeRosa Insiders is providing you guys value by giving you a more dedicated buyers pool, people that are willing to work with me and Matt, that are, going through learning how to find deals from Herve, learning how to underwrite deals from Ben, and then how to run them from me and Matt, and then they're going off and getting their own deals. And so that's a cool benefit for our members, for you guys, for us. And so, that was not something that we actually thought about as we set up DeRosa Insiders, but really clicked when we had that call 2 weeks ago, and something so hopefully you'll call us with the next 16 unit for sure, because and I'm sure you will, right? Because who, for you guys, who doesn't want to be on a call with, 5 or 6 potentially pretty qualified buyers that might make a play at it.
Right.
So, and hopefully one of them at this point is moving down the road, at least. I don't know where it stands, but moving down the road and is at least a very legitimate, very interested buyer. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ken, Justin, mind if I jump in with a question real quick?
Yeah, man. I just want to call out a comment from Mauricio saying this is really
please.
great to hear the different perspective, because this is not a side that we, as investors, we normally come at it from the other angle, but to hear from this side is really valuable. Thanks, Mauricio, for that comment. And Matthew agrees and says this is really helpful to hear. One shot for the broker, like that just helps everything put in perspective. So go ahead, Herve.
So Ken, Brandon, your team obviously doesn't have the size and the scale of the national commercial brokers out there, and there's a bunch of them. And there's a bunch of them targeting Kentucky and specifically Lexington, Kentucky. What would you guys state is your special sauce? What is your hook that makes owners of multifamily properties very attracted to you, that they want to either give their property to you, to offer it to your buyers as an off-market deal, or even as a listed deal? What would you say is, hey, listen, you know what, we have to pick up the phone and call the Silvestri real estate team?
Go for it, Brandon.
Sure. So I think it goes back to our knowledge in the markets in Lexington and Louisville. And so I met Ken actually because he brokered a deal that I was buying. And I remember being on site and I knew the Silvestri name well. Robert, who's on our team as well, we worked together on site. And I remember getting Ken's emails for 100, 200, 300 units. And we'd always joke about, raising money to buy them. So he always had that name. And I think what we've been able to do is that brand we've been able to build. And, I was the president of the apartment association the last 2 years, 18 and 19. Robert is the VP now for 20 and 21, probably president in 2022. And nice. So the owners in Lexington and Louisville, they see us. We're helping them with contractors. We're constantly keeping in touch. We're referring people on anything we can do. And so we like to give that personal touch where we feel nothing wrong with our competitors. But when you see someone coming down from Cincy or coming up from Nashville, they don't know the best painter in town. They don't know if you're in Louisville and if you're in this section, then the rent should be this based on, X, Y, Z. And so we really try to pitch that expertise, for our area. And we've kept that up. So it's been hard for people to overcome that because it's hard to do when you're, 2-3 hours away.
Yeah. Well, and I'll add to it that the track record, of course, experience. If you're going to try to win a basketball game or the nationals, and it's something where you're going to put your A player when it's a tie game and you've got to win the game. So for the last, I don't know, let's call it since 1990, I've been knocking on every door in Lexington. I know everything about our city. And then for the last, let's just call it 10 years solid, I've been calling every single owner of every property in Lexington until they like, oh my gosh, this guy calls me again. But we do it in a cool way, like,
wow.
Hey, what do you think about, that new restaurant? So we're actually building relationships. It's not just, hey, do you want to sell your property today? But we're actually building relationships with all the owners in town. And we have I've always had a marketing philosophy: get the job done. Get a listing or get a sale, tell everybody what you did, and then get more business because of it. That's always been our perfect marketing plan. Wow. So whenever we, even if we just sold 16 units, we'll blast it out there. Hey, sold 16 units. We sell 100 units. We tell everybody in the whole universe we sold 100 units. And now that we've done this 50 times, in the last, I don't know, 48 months, people are like, oh my gosh, does anybody else ever sell a property in Lexington? And right. We've actually had people email us that. It's like, well, we hope not.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the thing is we really do know. I mean, you could quiz us on any property in Lexington just about, and we can tell you who the owner is, what they eat for breakfast. And that's just fun that we know that.
Yeah, and you have that as a buyer from out of state, that helps us because you have that perspective and the history and the knowledge. And like, let's say I call you about a property, you can be like, oh yeah, that traded hands, or the owner, he's struggling with this or that, and there's so much that you can't get off the sheet of paper on LoopNet or in the OM that you guys can help bring to life, and you get that from doing. I wrote in the comments what you said, which is I called every owner of every property in Lexington for 10 years, and that's the only way you get that information, right?
Right. Yeah. The other guys in Cincinnati just cannot have done that.
Right.
Right. And Brandon, he goes a little bit crazy with me every now and then because I'll say, oh man, I think we got one here, and Brandon says we're going to take that one behind the barn and shoot it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Then I feel like Brandon's got my back a little bit then because he knows. Yeah. He knows as an owner, he knows what owners are looking for.
Well, and maybe he's also seen the numbers and just whatever. And okay, all right. So
it's not gonna work out.
And I'm like,
I'm understanding more about this dynamic, and I'm the excited one. Brandon cuts in with the numbers.
I know.
It's great.
Yeah, but and then it's on to the next thing. Listen, there's this old phrase on Wall Street trading desk: orders begets orders. Right? You put the order, you advertise it. online that, you know what, we're selling 100,000 shares of Google or something like that. And then you get the next one, you get the next one, you get the next one. And it starts just to kind of accelerate from there. And then when the day's over, we're out for dinner and drinks with our clients, right? And we're building the relationship. So we start it over again tomorrow. And there's something to be said for consistency. There's a lot of value in consistency. That's the one thing I would have to imagine. And remind me, just remember, I've only been with the DeRosa team for a little bit more than a year now. But even in the year that I've been with them, there's already been turnovers in some of those big national commercial brokers that I've been talking about, where, you know, the person that you used to speak to, that I used to speak to last year about a particular territory, you know, he or she is no longer there. And now all of a sudden, you know, which is fine. I don't mind, you know, starting up new relationships, but I know that they may not be very well versed on the target market as well as you guys might be, because like you said, you know, longevity really counts for something. Relationship building, you know, with not only the owners of the properties, but the contractors, the lenders, you know, even the restaurant owners and so on and so forth. We were there last time. We went out to a restaurant, nice dinner, and we told them why we're in town. And he said, as a matter of fact, last time we were here, Ken was there. Yeah, I know Ken real well, you know, and Brandon too. Yeah, I know Ken
man,
really well.
He knew you, Ken. He was like,
he taught you guys up.
What restaurant were we at? I think we told you about this. I don't remember, but
I forgot the name, but it was good.
Carson.
Yes.
Well, you know what? It probably helps that, I mean, I think Brandon can back me up on this. I really love prospecting and making calls, and I come from I guess training. It's almost like military training of the BUDS program or something, and that, you know, I really try to make 20 calls a day, and I just don't. And I don't think of rejection as rejection. I think it is me being curious about, you know, what's going on, where I can understand this person or this property or the situation better. And just being curious, I think really helps us, because that keeps us going, and it's very, very consistent. And then once I do find something, then I'll tell you what happens is I send it over to Brandon and Robert like very quickly, and I get back to doing what I like to do, and I'll let them do what I don't like to do, which is doing all that underwriting and all that kind of stuff.
There you go. Yeah, I know. I feel the same way, right? Herve does the same, right? He gets us a deal and passes it off.
Passes it on. Yeah. And I look at it, and you know, we're looking at something right now, and I'm thinking about it. I haven't told you yet, Justin. I was like, woo. Justin's gonna have his hands full with this one. No
That's all right. That's all right. I'm looking for something. You know, we've almost got all of our stuff stabilized. I need a new challenge over here. You know?
Yeah, because it's very unstabilized.
That's good. That's good. We like that.
He's gonna have his hands full. So
yes. I want to just summarize what Ken said, by the way, which is like take action and then tell everybody. Which, you know, taking action, closing the deal, and then how you get the next deal is telling everyone that you just closed the deal.
You got to brag about
that. That works on your side and our side, by the way, because that then helps us get investors. And, you know, I'll put up, like, we get something under contract. I'll put it up on LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like, hey, and a flood of people come in like, hey, oh my God, I see what you're doing. You know, how can we get involved? How can I help you? How can you help me? And just creates more conversation. So absolutely. Tell everybody what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah. And one, I guess I'll just finish on this comment is that we really do have 3,000 people in our database, right? But you know how many people are on a call with us right now? You. And so you guys are doing the right thing for your group, for your company, for how you're building your business. You know, the people, if you're just a one-shot deal, you make one call to us and you say, or you send us one email, we're going to forget about you so fast. It's over. But if you're very consistent and you call us or once a month, or you email us once a month, or you're there, we just need to know that you're a player.
You got to show up, right? You got to show up. You got to do it.
Show up with your money.
But even if the deal, I will say, even if the deal doesn't work, right? To Brandon's point earlier, he said, like, they showed me the OM, they showed me their pro forma and how they were building out their pro forma. Like, so even if it doesn't work for me, I can still show you why it doesn't work for me. And then you'll adjust, and you'll call me with the next one still, because I'm at least putting the work in. I always tell new investors, like, if you're working with a broker, you have to put the work in. You can't just say no or yes. You have to show them how you got there and give them insight into what you're thinking.
Yeah, and let me add to that again, is that if we bring you one of our...
Oh no.
Oh, it wasn't me this time.
No, there is.
Underwrite it quickly. Underwrite it quickly. Give us a yes or no quickly. And a good no is perfectly great with us. Mm-hmm. Just act fast and let us know what's going on, because a lot of times what we might do is give you guys 48 hours to say yes or no, and then we want to take it to somebody else that it fits their model a little bit better.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Hopefully we do that for you, and we're quick enough on our turnarounds. I think we are.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty efficient on our side. Yeah. Hey, I want to be respectful of your time. You said 5:30. We've already gone 5 over. You want to hang out? Okay. Herve and I are going till 6, but I definitely want to be respectful of both of you guys. Feel free to stay, but let me at least give you the chance to, there's a lot of people watching. If they want to buy in Lexington, I know who they should call, and that's you guys. So how do they find you guys? How do they get in touch?
Brandon?
So it is all of our names. So for instance, Brandon at Silvestri Real Estate. You can replace the first name with anybody. So Brandon, Ken, Robert at Silvestri Real Estate. And I never mind doing that.
Silvestri has no Y's. It's Silvestri. Good Italian name.
There you go.
There we go.
Yep.
Good Italian name.
I like it.
So email Brandon, get on his list. Yep. Don't just call him every now and then, but go meet Brandon, get out to Lexington as soon as we can all travel again. I know you guys are open a little more than we are in the Northeast. Brandon, we didn't even talk about your drink, but call Brandon, get on his list, and hopefully you'll send everyone some deals. So thanks guys.
Yeah, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Guys, it's been great. Have a nice weekend. Be safe.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Next time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Herve.
That was awesome, man.
Dude.
Those guys are good.
They pack so much value into, like, that was just like a 30-minute call exactly, and they just blew it up with, oh my God. It's so good to hear that from the other perspective, because these guys are active. They're doing it. I love that they're actually owners as well.
Yeah.
Because that really helps. I hate getting like pro formas from a broker, and they're underwriting to I tell you, I've seen things with like 20% expense ratios.
Come
on, man. There's no way. Like this property is 50 years old, and you give me a 21% expense ratio.
Yeah.
Like you clearly don't own anything near like
that's
this.
Right. So. Brandon is Ken was right. I mean, Brandon is really, really good with the numbers. He'll go ahead and adjust on that, hypothetical. He'll go ahead and adjust on that. If he feels that it's really not a proper expense ratio or NOI, whatever it may be, he's really good on that. And you can rest assured that Ken is making those calls. He is building relationships with owners across the town. And he's been doing it, like you said, since 1990. I mean, come on, man. That's over, 40, 30 years. So, it's a long time. And I think there's something to be said for that. They're a really, really good match. They don't broker everything. We don't buy everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why it makes a really, really good match. You know what we're looking for. We know what we can get from them. And it works well. And the good thing about it, talking with some of these national commercial brokers, what I like about Ken's team is that they are very, very localized. They don't spread their tentacles in a bunch of other cities. They're not even all over Kentucky.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, Kentucky's a decent sized state. They're not even all over Kentucky.
It's like Lexington, 2 cities, right?
Right, yes. Lexington and a little bit of Louisville. And Lexington is their backyard. They're not Bowling Green. They don't go to Cincinnati. The reason why Ken was bringing them Cincinnati is because you got some of these national brokers in which the brokers are based in Cincinnati and they make the road trip down to Lexington. These guys, they don't do that. They don't go up to Cincinnati. then try to figure, try to get deals out of Cincinnati. They believe that the plate is full enough for them in Lexington where they can gain a lot of experience. They could talk about owners of other properties down the street, next door, across the street, and so on and so forth. So,
and I want to just give a little context to everyone that's watching for what Herve is saying. If you don't know, Herve is our hunter, right? So on our multifamily team, it is Herve's job to go find us properties. And the way that he does that is relationships with guys like Ken and Brandon, right? We don't really do mailings. We don't go and however else people find property, we go through brokers. That's sort of our strategy and our style. And it's really about Herve making relationships with guys like Ken and Brandon. So to see, I love hearing what you look for in a broker, because that helps. Like if any of you guys watching are, want to be in multifamily, like this is a masterclass on what Herve is saying as far as how to find a broker that will work for you. And it's not just about like any broker that has a listing, because that broker is someone that is going to be really partners with you. Yeah, they may not own the asset with you, but these guys, we showed up, we bought a property from them. One of our partners, Dave Acosta, bought another property from them a few months later, and you know what? They're probably going to call us with the next one that fits our criteria. So
that's right. That's right.
I think that we're literally showing you guys the blueprint of how we're building these relationships right now, and I love really everything that Ken said. From putting the work in, you have to, as a broker, call. But I also love that, like what
as
Matthew
an investor, right? He was saying the same. As an investor, you have to call.
Yeah,
right?
like Brandon gave us some really good insight. Like, you just call one time and say, hey, what sort of off-market, super special, 20 cap deals you got? That's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Because he'll probably go buy that for himself. But for someone that, you build a relationship, you put the time in, you put the effort in, you see them when you come to town, there's nothing that replaces that. And putting the work in, doing the action of that is repeated conversation, providing feedback, providing them your feedback on the numbers, telling them, hey man, the 13 million you want doesn't really work. Maybe we like it at 11 and here's why, right? Or the $200,000 you want doesn't work. I need it at 150 for these reasons. Like whatever price range you're dealing in, you can always provide that feedback, because just a yes or no, that's like a end to the conversation. It's not like this would work for me if. I think is the key phrase, right? So if I'm looking for a deal and Brandon's got a property for me, hey man, this doesn't work right now. This would work for me if it didn't need this much in renovations, or if it was more occupied, or if it was in a better location, and that helps him understand that what you want as a buyer, number one, but that you're serious, and then it helps him refine what he sends you.
Right. No, absolutely. I think that there was a lot to be gained from the discussion with Ken and Brandon, and it tells you from our side, investor side, is that you just have to keep going. You as motivated as you are to try to get your first deal, right? And a lot of people are really trying to get their first deal, and they're hoping if they pick up that phone and make a call, or send an email to a broker, let's say Ken Silvestri team, that all of a sudden they developed a relationship, and Ken and Brandon are going to call you back with a deal. They're going to email with you deal. And you folks it just does not happen like that. As much as you want to be excited about getting your first deal under your belt, you need to be as excited, if not more excited, in developing relationship with these commercial brokers. Because they are going to be your funnel for years and years to come. And so now, because we have our flag planted down in Lexington, even though we're up here in New Jersey, Justin, you see it too, the amount of calls, the amount of emails that we get from brokers, not only Ken's team, but other teams saying, hey, we see that you guys own Preakness. We see you guys own CKNW. We have another property in Lexington that you might be interested in. Another property in Louisville, about an hour away from Lexington, that you might be interested in. And a lot of that really started coming. I would say that the floodgates really started opening up on that once we purchased those 2 properties down in Lexington.
I think the second property, right? So we bought the first
yes.
one, and okay, you made a splash with a big purchase, but then to follow it up with an even bigger splash, bigger property, larger price, larger property,
players
shows. Okay, let's take notice of the DeRosa group coming to town, because these guys just picked up 380 some units in 6 months. So let's take them seriously about what's going on, and let's catch them when they come to town. And now, like when we go to town, you remember, right? We're booked, right? Sometimes we'll go to town and you've got like 4 to 5, 6 broker meetings in a day where I'm at the property, and it's like there's so much to do, right? We never even have enough time. And I remember the last time we went out there, like I think we met up for breakfast. And then we split, right? And you went one way and you had your agenda and I had my agenda. And it was like, it wasn't till like drinks, like late at night, that we finally got back together. And it's like, oh man, how was your day? What are you doing? And
exactly.
But we're doing it, and we're building relationships with guys like Silvestri and the other brokers in town, and other investors and other contractors, like people that can help us get to where we want to go. And so it's absolutely all about the relationships. Hey man, I got a question for you. Speaking of this, I was going to go with a different question, but Chris Gentry just chimed in and said, hey, hope to see you guys soon. Hey, Chris, what's going on, man?
My man, Chris Gentry in the house. I love it.
We're going to get Chris on here too, man, because Chris has got a lot of deals for us too. Hopefully. Come on, Chris. Come on through. So Chris is another broker that we've had some really great conversations with, and every time we're in town, usually we're meeting up with Chris to see what he's got. So
Chris is a bright guy. I like Chris is hungry. Chris works hard. Chris stays in front of us. Really, really good, and he listens very well in regards to the type of deals, type of properties that we look for, and whatnot. And listen, it's a tough business. Being a commercial broker. Listen, as a buyer, as an investor, as an operator, you guys have seen being a commercial broker is a very, very tough business. It's very, very competitive, in an environment where multifamily obviously has been shining very bright over the past several years. And so, Chris Gentry, where he works, the Silvestri team, listen, Ken has been doing this for, over 20 years, and he still is making 20 calls a day.
Amazing.
He's not resting on his laurels. He's not resting on his laurels because he sees what's around him. He sees his competitors, encroaching in on the territory. And so he wants to do the best that he can to defend what he's built and even grow from there. And the only way he can do it is keep on doing what he's been doing. But what he can't do is take his foot off the gas pedal, start to slow down and rest and so on and so forth. Because otherwise, someone's going to come in, take his place.
If Ken slows down, Chris is going to swoop in, right? There's always
someone else. It's always somebody else, right?
Hey, Mauricio, I appreciate you commenting multiple times and contributing to our conversation. So we want to address this question. Just came in here. Herve, he says the brokers in town are also in competition with each other, so it behooves them to develop relationships bi-directional as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, these brokers, they know each other very well. I believe that they're very respectful of one another. We've even seen deals that have been passed from one broker to another broker in the same town. For whatever reason, the previous broker wasn't able to sell the deal. And so they, however it took place, the owner decided to go ahead and take the deal from that broker and give it to another broker because they thought that they have a better opportunity, a better chance of selling their property with another broker. So so I think it's a very amenable relationship that brokers have with one another in town. Some of these brokers, they wind up jumping ship. They go from one firm to a competing firm and so on and so forth, right? You always want to kind of have your foot in the water and ears to the ground of, who is where and, who's moving and shaking and who's really putting up deals in Lexington and Louisville and, other towns around the country and stuff like that. Right. I mean, you want to know, who's involved, like, who's a player and who's not. And you only have, listen, Again, I used to work on the street, right? I mean, brokers, at Goldman Sachs, they would hang out with the brokers at Bank of America and Citigroup, and so, right? And because it's very, very small world, then they would bounce from one firm to the other,
Yeah.
and do the same thing. So you always kept your ear to the ground, right? Because you want to, who's good out there? Who really knows this kind of a thing, right? I mean, who knows if Ken is looking to expand his team a little bit, he's going to probably look locally, and he's going to have to, but he'll know who to go to because of the relationships he's developed.
Absolutely.
And set with these other brokers out there.
I to add to that, I would say that, in the past, certainly in the past 2 or 3 years, and probably well before that, there's been such an influx of multifamily buyers, people that are
Yes.
more, I would say, more buyers than deals, right?
Yes.
So up until maybe coronavirus, let's say, I'll draw that line in the sand. We'll say that the brokers sort of were in the power position, right? They get to choose who and where they're showing their deals to. Now, they always have the option, if they don't have a buyer or they have a type of seller that is fine with a ton of information being put up. There's very public sites like LoopNet that they could put up their deal up and get tons of traffic, and they can market these deals and all that. But I think we heard from Ken that not every seller wants a ton of people coming through their property. They don't want the tenants to get scared off. They don't want to deal with like low ball offers and people that will waste their time and not be able to close. And so it absolutely, Mauricio, is a two-way street.
Yes.
And they need to know that we as buyers can close and that we have credibility as well, because they need to be able to stand behind us. Really, what you're doing and the way that they broke this down makes a lot of sense. Like, they have to take us, the buyer, to the seller and say, these guys are good, right? And in whatever criteria that seller has set that they want, either whether it be a quick close or the right price, or, lots of times price is not really the end all be all, especially when you're talking properties in the millions of dollars. Of course, no one wants to get lowballed and ripped off, but a seller might be willing to take a discount for a buyer that's more credible and willing to close.
Right.
Don't you think so?
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I mean, listen, these brokers, again, as competitive as it's become for them, they are very much building on their reputation. Now, Ken, as you can tell, he's been at it for a while, so his reputation is pretty solid, in the halls of Lexington. But it's not something, again, that he can rest on, because he doesn't ignore the competition. He doesn't dismiss the competition. He wants to be that 5-star commercial broker, so to speak, right, in Lexington, and whatnot. And you can definitely argue that he's kind of gained that status for, networking, building and making those 20 calls a day. He said something interesting when he was talking with Justin. He's like, sometimes he's developing, right, as we are trying to develop relationships with brokers are out there trying to develop relationships with the owners of these apartment buildings. And that's a long-standing relationship, man. I mean, you got to think, he said 7 years. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it.
Time,
7 years, the calling, and then, and he eventually winds up winning the deal, right? But that's what it takes, and that's what he realized. And like you said, he's consistent. He emphasized, the equivalence of buds training, right? And it's just that consistency of always, because, man, they tell you, if you take any of these real estate classes, if you send out 100 if you're doing a mail campaign and you send out 100 marketing letters, you might get a response, right, from 1 or 2, right? Literally like a 1% to 2% hit rate. Well, that's Ken's world also, right? I mean, he's calling, and folks are saying no, folks are saying I'm with somebody else, folks are saying I'm not ready to sell yet and whatnot, but he doesn't let the negative responses or feedback discourage him. It fuels him to go out and figure how can I steer this conversation to benefit me. Okay, maybe that owner's not ready to sell today. Maybe it's going to be 4 months down the road. Maybe it's going to be 4 years down the road. What can I do to help him or her get that property ready for sale, right?
Yep.
And so that's how
Next
he's
level
kind of,
right there, right?
that's big time.
Getting in early, like helping them prep so it looks good for a buyer, right?
Absolutely, right.
It's
So
work.
then when we start doing, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I want to represent you when selling your property." No, that owner is getting that call 100 times a day. I'm sure for the properties that we own, we get a lot of calls like that, right? And so, timing is everything on this, and because you never know when it's going to happen, that's why it's imperative that you stay consistent with the timing and the calling and the feedback over and over and over again. And so, listen, it's really sales 101, right? Just building that relationship and networking. Depending on what you're selling, sometimes the turnaround is very, very fast. In this business, it's not that fast.
Right.
Not that fast.
Long term. Listen, I think we're going to move away from the real estate talk after that.
Okay.
It was an amazing way to end it. I need to shout out this, guys. If you haven't seen it, listen, join DeRosa Insiders. Just text 66866 if you haven't already. Like, this conversation that we had with Ken was like the tip of the iceberg. We've got so much good stuff happening in DeRosa Insiders. Deals are being put out there. We had a great conversation about flooring today, of all things. Like, just huge, like everyone's adding in where they are in the country and what price they're getting, and do we go with vinyl or sheet or plank or whatever else. And so there's so many great conversations, and it's just helpful to have like a nice private community that, if I put something out there, it can be trusted. And, there's just really, really good information happening. Yesterday we did an hour-long Q&A with Matt. So if you ever like want to hang out with Matt and like ask your questions, I mean, we had an hour-long Q&A. It was crazy. Really, really great information. And so, man, DeRosa Insiders, it's been a lot of fun. I'm getting so much value out of it. Other people are getting a lot of value out of it. We've got some really great feedback from our members, and it's just $24 a month. So you can't really go wrong joining Insiders. But with that, let's go to something a little more fun, right? What is Herve? Let's share something positive, like
all right,
positive about coronavirus. Like, what? Give me an output. And I'm channeling Matt because he always asks this question. But like,
okay,
give me something that's happened in your life that's positive because of coronavirus.
Oh man, it's a great question. I've been more consistent and committed to exercising pretty much on a daily basis.
Awesome.
I think I might have taken it for granted before the pandemic hit us. I was exercising, but nowhere near as much as I am right now. And I think it's because it's become more a part of my daily routine because we're inside so much. It gets my blood flowing. It gets me active mentally and obviously physically. So I love it. I kind of almost look forward to it right now. Part of it is I don't need to get fully dressed and get in the car and drive 15 minutes to the gym. I'm just going downstairs to the basement and doing it, so there's that, man. And be honest, you're spending, a good amount of time with the family. My kids obviously disappointed that my son's literally last day of high school today, graduating tomorrow. We're excited. Thank you very much. And my other older just finished his first semester in college. So obviously they were disappointed that they weren't able to be with their friends these past 10 weeks, but they're able to be with mom and dad. And, we hung out. My wife and I are walking outside every day after dinner now, something we weren't doing pre-pandemic, and sometimes just kind of taking in, obviously enjoying the weather getting better. So yeah, listen, there's definitely some positive. At the end of the day, it's what you make out of it, right? So
that's it. It's how you react, right? None of us chose to have this pandemic happen, but it's how we react to it. And yeah, man, I'm in the same boat. I've been scheduling some time during the day, right around lunchtime, where like every day that's kind of my time to go down and be with the kids. It came out of necessity where my wife needs a few hours. She's a teacher, so she needs to be online and be able to teach a few hours a day. But it's turned into a really cool thing where, especially now that it's warm, like we go out and play in the sprinkler or go for walks around the block. And it's like this family time that's happening during the day where, pre-pandemic, it's like you have your day, you go pick up the kids from daycare, they're tired, you got to cook dinner, you might have like 15 to 20 minutes, right? Like bedtime. Here we got a few hours, and I listen, sometimes frustrating. I'll tell you that. I got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, so there's a lot of like little boy in my house.
Yeah.
Lots of tears,
Right.
and then the kids cry too, is what I'm saying. But
Right.
it's been a blessing, honestly. Like it's amazing hanging out with these guys all day and finding new fun stuff. I mean, literally today I put a tarp down in the backyard and we figured that we made a homemade slip and slide, and I cut like holes in a pool noodle and we made a whole thing out of it, man.
There you go.
Why not?
That's awesome.
There's no water park, so we're gonna do it ourselves.
You have a water park in the backyard. Absolutely.
And they love it, and the best part is we get to come right inside.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to bring a lunch. I can just walk back inside.
And save a little bit of money at the same time.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, man, this was, I will say, Matt, we miss you, of course.
Of course, yes.
A ton of really good comments on the YouTube and the Facebook. People loved this. People loved hearing the other side, the broker side. So I think this is something we're going to start to do more of. And
absolutely,
we're going to be back next week. Herve, maybe we'll have you on and pop back in.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you, man. Whatever you need.
We're working on the topic. It'll probably be announced Monday and the guests. Okay. But yeah, hey man, that's the other nice thing is every Friday at 5 I have a built-in excuse to have a drink. And
amen. And you're drinking it with your friends. What's wrong with that?
Friends. I know, man. I miss it, man. I do. I miss our social trips, and
it's the virtual hug. The virtual hug right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The virtual hug, and then we'll have a few of these.
Yeah,
no doubt.
But Herve, you are master guest host. I appreciate you. Anything you want to tell the audience about how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, listen, hit me up on Facebook, folks. Herve Francois, straightforward. More than happy to hit you up. And I don't know, Justin, if you could put my email address, but for the DeRosa Group, h.francois, actually at Providence.
I don't have it there. All right. We'll get you set. Wait, I can put in a banner here. Here we go.
There you go. Put in a banner. Hit me up, man.
Francois.
Love to communicate. Love to talk to folks. Happy to answer questions. There we go. There's the email right there. So, no, listen, man, this has been a blast. I thank you again for putting me on. I hope I did you guys some justice with Matt not being in today, but this is a lot of fun.
Great. I think he lost the job. I think it's.
I'll let you tell him. But I'll be glad to pinch hit, man. I'm glad to pinch hit. I mean, remember Tom Brady came off the bench with Drew Bledsoe. The rest is history.
The rest is history. That'll teach Matt to take a night. Come on.
Exactly.
Oh man. Well, hey, thank you, Herve. Just thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Cannot wait to chat with you again, man. And,
likewise, man.
If you want more of Herve does live videos for us on Insiders and gives us even more detail in how he finds deals and how, more on the broker side, working with brokers and all that great stuff. So
absolutely,
Herve is an active member, and you can find him on Insiders. So just text 66866, text DeRosa to that number, and come join us, guys, and have fun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
All right, man. Great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.